Hello and welcome to the Grand Prix World Series. My name is Topher Smith and today we head to the Grand Prix of Europe at the Mugello circuit in Italy. This is the second of the manager voted circuits for this season and we're really looking forward to see what the Tuscan circuits can provide for today's action. As ever, we're going to start off with League 2 and let's have a look at the drivers and team standings heading into today. Romain Grosjean leading the way in League 2 on 105 points, only one ahead of Ryo Hirakawa in the Toyota. A single point separating those two, and it's looking like it's going to be a monumental battle for the last part of the season. Ye Fei still in close touch as well, 100 points for the Chinese driver, ahead of Pato O'Ward and Colton Herta, who are on 97 points each. And then Nick de Vries and Felix Rosenqvist on 94 points each. Those top 7 looking like the realistic title contenders for this season. Also in the top 10, Gabriele Mini on 51, Daniel Kvyat on 39, and Luke Browning rounding out the top 10 on 36. As for the team, Spiker leads the way on 202 points, 4 ahead of Toyota at the moment on 198. Those two seemingly swapping the title lead every round at the moment. Very close between those two, and it looks like it will be between Ben Hackson's team and Mike Gillespie's team for the title this season. But looking to join them in League 1 next season are the likes of Ram on 150, Prema on 133 and Forti Corsa on 124. It's looking like it is a 5-horse race for those top 3 promotion spots. Running down the rest of the points, Bimoto KRT are on 73 points ahead of Simtek on 69, Opel on 59, Mazda on 39, Iron Dames on 29, and then in the bottom 3 positions, Chip Ganassi on 25, and then M Sport and Zack Speed on 16 points each. Not much left to play for them this season, except for a bit of pride maybe, and they can look to get some good results to cap off what has been a rather disappointing season for them, it must be said. Just the one driver change to bring you for today, and that comes at the Opel team, where Loic Duval has been put down to the reserve role, having not really impressed the team in his 2 outings, substituting for Joel Eriksson. Eriksson is back in the car for the rest of the season now, and he will look to make as much of an impression as he can, with the season 7 driver markets starting to enter into the team managers' minds. So let's have a look to the qualifying results and check out who is on pole for today's Mugello race. And it is a first ever pole position for Pato O'Ward. It feels a little bit weird to be saying that with him having been in the championship for so long. But the Mexican finally taking a pole position, and he does it by less than half a tenth of a second ahead of Colton Herta, those two taking the front row together. Conor Zilic, his best ever qualifying performance season, put the second Ram third on the grid. Also within half a tenth of O'Ward's time, it was very close between the top 3. Nick de Vries 4th in Toyota ahead of Ye Fei in the Prema. Felix Rosenqvist, our reigning champion, 6th in the Forti Corsa ahead of Nick Cassidy. Ryo Hirakawa 8th in the Toyota ahead of Scott McLaughlin, who together with Nick Cassidy has given Mazda its best collective qualifying efforts of the season. And Tommy Kinajiri 10th in the Prema, looking to move forward at the circuits where he took victory last season. Gabriele Mini will line up 11th in the Bimoto KRT ahead of Daniel Kvyat in the Opel. Dorian Pan 13th alongside Ayumu Iwasa. Joseph Newgarden 15th in the Chip Ganassi. And then our championship leader Romain Grosjean only 16th on the grid today. He was very disappointed with that and will look forward to move into the points as far as possible. Kakuna Shinota 17th in the Simtek ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi. Joel Eriksson on his return will line up 19th alongside Earl Bamber. And then at the back, Jamie Chadwick, Steph Dusseldorp, Finn McLaughlin, Philip Salaquada, Leonardo Forneroni and Charles Malaysi, the 2 M Sports, locking out the back row of the grid. And they will look to take as much advantage as they can from attrition, from overtakes, whatever way they can to move up the order. So can Pato O'Ward convert his first ever pole position into a victory here today and take further strides in the championship battle? There's only one way to find out. Let's hand it over to our regular commentator Tom Cairns, who's ready and waiting in the box to get this one underway. So Tom, let's get this one started.
Pato O'Ward on pole for the first time in his Grand Prix Series career. Can he come away with his 3rd win of the season and keep himself in the fight for the title? 44 laps ahead of the lead 2 field here in Mugello. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and O'Ward gets away very well, cutting across on the Spiker of Colton Herta, who's also jumped by Conor Zilic, who's going to the outside. Watch out also for the Toyota of Nick de Vries coming through, and it's the Dutchman who's leapt up into 2nd place. By the time they get to Sant'Anato, a terrific start from the Toyota pilot. De Vries coming through the field very, very nicely from 4th to 2nd. Now he's the nearest challenger to the race leader, Patro Ward. Ward leads, De Vries 2nd, Silic 3rd. It's Herta, Hirakawa, Yigifi is in 6th place, followed by Scott McLaughlin, Felix Rosenquist, Nick Cassidy, and Danica Fiat. Roman Grosjean, who had a qualifying to forget, had started the race in 16th position. He's still outside the top 15 at the moment. We'll find out more what he is doing as the race continues to progress. But there is O'Ward leading De Vries, and it's Silic, and we look at Nick Cassidy for a brief moment, but there is a pass by Ayumu Iwaza on Danica Fiat. It's the Japanese through into 10th position at the expense of the Opel. Ward coming out of the last corner in the lead. And a long way to go in this one. It's the Grand Prix of Europe, which Mugello was one of a number of venues which the managers had a choice of going to, compared to a number of other European events. Mugello was the one that got the majority of the votes. And so we'll continue to host races in the Grand Prix Series. That is the Prema. Behind the Opel, that is Tomoki Nijiri, the Japanese driver. On the setups that the team managers have gone for their respective teams. Those have gone for the neutral setup. They are 40, Sax Speed, Mazda, IM Dames, Ram, Prema, Simtek, and Bimota. And all those going for the mid-top speed setup are Chip Ganassi, Toyota, Opel, Spiker, and M Sport. None of the other teams have gone for any of the other setups in the spectrum. And we look at Seth Dusseldorp, who's off the circuit, and that's a crash into the barrier, and he's out of the race. That was over at the last turn. He was running in 22nd place ahead of the M Sport that was behind him. I think that was Sharma Lacey. Dusseldorp just went too deep into the corner, crashed into the barrier, and that's it. That's him out at the end of lap number 2. It's not been a good season so far for Sax Speed. Rock bottom in the team's championship. No chance of promotion this season again. Look further back down the pack. There is Iyumura Iwasa in 8th place. Iwasa goes into this one. Desperate need of a change of fortune at the moment. It hasn't been the best of seasons for Iwasa, it has to be said. 4 points finishes from a possible 11. We see Rosenquist just going a little too deep into Scarperia. He gets away with that one. And Rosenquist is on paper the outside favourite, and that is the second retirement of the race. And it's Nick Cassidy, who was running a strong 9th position, or 10th rather, but mechanical problems have forced him to retire. Gearbox it is, and Cassidy out again. He cannot catch a break at the moment, the Kiwi. That's his 6th retirement from 12 races this season. To watch Thomas Silic trying to close in. And Nick De Vries for 2nd position. And there we see Malaysi and Fornaroli tossing it out for position there. Looks like Malaysi had just sent it into turn 1 on. Oh no, he got tagged actually by Fornaroli, which explains why the Frenchman had taken a different line into the corner. Fornaroli does get past, but there may be a penalty coming his way because he did tap him to go through for position. It's a 10-second time penalty for Leo Fornaroli and 2 penalty points on his licence. Attacking, and now we look at Malaysia, who's now under fire here from one of the Simtek drivers, that is Kukunishin Ota. Now Ota tired in the closing stages in understop. It's been a respectable first 4 races for the Japanese. So far this season we've been to Red America, we've been to Aruba, we've been to Curitiba, Petrolo de los Funes, Sebring, Dijon Burgoyne, Ricardo Tormo, Marrakesh, Donington, Hockenheim, Understop. Today is Mugello, which is the last European round of the season. We head into the final third of the season, beginning with Hanoi, Vietnam, Sepang, Malaysia, Buriram, Thailand. And it's off to the Grand Prix of Asia in Motegi, Japan. And then we finish off with 2 races in the Oceania continent, Phillip Island, Australia, and Vanuatu, New Zealand. Once everything is wrapped up there, we've got the non-championship Macau Grand Prix to come, featuring the 13 highest scoring teams across the 2 leagues. Now we see Earl Bamber running in 23rd place. He didn't have the best of qualifying sessions either. And that is Thea McLaughlin, who's been off the pace so far here in Mugello. Roman Grosh on the championship leader by a single point over Rio Hirakawa. Shiyevi in 3rd, just a further 4 points back. And we're going to see a replay involving Leo Fornaroli again. Now, what has he been up to this time? Well, Malaysia went wide to begin with. Well, that's Giovinazzi, sorry. Malaysia went for a move, but didn't quite come off in the end. And we've got a change for second place. Silic has passed De Vries, and this is the moment where the American had gone through. So it's now a Ram 1 and 2 in Mugello. De Vries down to 3rd place on lap 6. Way to go yet in this race. As it stands, Pato Ward will be the championship leader. So we can see Giovinazzi, and it looks like Fornaroli just behind him, or yeah, it is Fornaroli. So he's trying to get the car slowed down there. He's going on his way though. To see a mixture of drivers going for the 1 or 2 stops here. I'd probably say that the 2 stop is the way to go around here, depending on where you are with track position and the pace of the machine that you have. And the top 3 teams at the end of the season in League 2 will go up to League 1. They are Spiker, Toyota and Ram, who are sitting in those places coming into this round. Spiker took the lead away from Toyota in understop after a dramatic last few laps that saw both the Toyotas not finishing after being 1 and 2 for the majority of the event. They are still quite some way ahead of boys of Ram, Kremer and Forty, who look to be fighting over that 3rd and final place in League 1 next season. Will pave the way for the relegated clubs in League 1. We go down to League 2. Dorian Pan. 14th behind Danica Fiat. She's got Roman Grosjean, the championship leader, behind her. And Grosjean very nearly went wide. And gathered it all up in front of the Opel. That is sitting behind him. And that is Joel Eriksson, who's back in the car after Lloyd Duval was in the seat for Anders Storp and Hockenheim. Look at Kenshin Odo running in 21st position. These are the last of the runners at the back. Hoping they can come away with something. And that's Mini off. Gabriele Mini off the circuit in the Bimota. Just took too much speed in today. We've stopped behind the Iron Danes there. They look to be struggling. We have to say that's not the Iron Danes' fault there. I think it was just Mini being too impatient. It might have been Jamie Chadwick, you know, because Dorian Pan is now ahead of the fellow Iron Danes. Mini breaks his front wing as he's rejoining back onto the circuit. It's going to be a long race now, unfortunately, for the home hero. Chadwick did make it back to the pit lane. There we see O'Ward in the lead. Fiat. So fighting his own with Dorian Pan. Feisty in this race so far. On lap at number 8 out of 44. Well, round 12 of the season. Look at Nick de Vries in 3rd position. There's a change over Opel potentially. Kvyat has been overtaken by Dorian Pan, who I think looks like on a lighter fuel load compared to these. Judging by the way she's pulling away, that is my assumption. There's Yiffy. Race winner last time out in Anders Storp. Race win that he would never have expected. It's the 2nd win of his career as well. Hoping to make it back-to-back wins here. Prema's home event. Headed up by Alex Johnson. He's desperate for an immediate return again. In League 1. So far for Alex it's been relegation, promotion, relegation. There's de Vries again in 3rd position ahead of Colton Herter. And that is Dorian Pan, who appears to be struggling. That is a very terrible shame. And she's going to be in the pit lane at the end of this lap for absolutely sure. Disastrous moment there for Jake Sanson. Jamie Chadwick had only just been in. And Dorian Pan is not going to make it back. For the 2nd season in a row, she retires in Mugello. That is retirement number 3 of the race. Out on lap number 9. Leo Fornaroli in for an early pit stop as well for M Sport. This Fornaroli can get some clear track when he comes back out. O'Ward with the fast top of the race so far. Pole position. There's a yellow flag down there as well, so you'll need to be wary. I don't know who's had a moment there. Is that? I think that must be Dorian Pan's car that's just been craned away here. That'll be the reason. You just see further back there, he was almost trying to pass whilst Pan's car was being craned away. Hirakawa looks to be on an attack at the moment. It's Ayumu Iwasa who's chasing him. And that's the leader. Award 5 seconds ahead of Konasilic. Once he finished for Ram, would give them an almighty shot at the team's championship. It wouldn't necessarily be good news for Prema or 40. Both of the Premas are inside the points. Yi in 5th and Nigiri in 9th. 40 with 1 car in the points. That's Hiroshi Chris in 10th. So Genesi's further down the order in 14th. There was Joseph Newgarden. It's been a season to forget overall for Chip Ganassi. 25 points on the board. They came close to a podium at Donington. El Bamba was running in 2nd place at one stage. He could have been the winner that day. But that has left the American squad with a lot to do between now and the end of the season to prepare for the next campaign. There's no way on earth they're going to be heading into League One. A lock up for Joel Eriksson at the Biondetti chicane. Pit stop over at Bimota. Ayumu Iwasa is in, and that will be a scheduled stop. But Eriksson is heading out of the race now at quarter race distance. More woes for Topher Smith's team. Reliability has not been on their side this season at all. Is him gone from the race. The Swede retires with rear suspension failure. Look at Sean Lacey in 15th position ahead of El Bamba, who's trying to make his way through the order here. Doesn't do so at Casanova. See Konasilic running in P2. Now we've got a pit stop now at Ram. Award in from the lead at the end of lap number 12. A new race leader in Konasilic. In only his 3rd Grand Prix, he's leading a race. Yuffie also coming into the pit lane from 5th position. Got out quickly now, which is good news for him. Theo McLaughlin. And the bad news for Yiffy is just come out behind the Simtek of. That has to be Kukuni Shinota. He's got pretty much him and. Around the circuit, that has to be Joseph Newgarden. So Joseph Newgarden running in P12 ahead of Yiffy now. He's got by Otis straight away. Now able to pass Chip Ganassi, and Grosjean wrecks his front wing over the grass, and we're going to see an early pit stop for the Frenchman. Into the pit lane for sure. He has passed Joseph Newgarden now. that wounded front wing of his. How far will Silic go before he comes in for his stop? O'Ward has passed. Oh, and that is McLaughlin going wide, and a number of drivers having to dart their way around the cars who are coming into the pit lane. And you can see Charles Malaysia running in P12 ahead of El Bamba, Ayumu Wazza and Theo McLaughlin. Giovinazzi is overtaken by Yiafi. Desperate to make up for lost time. He's trying to chase this down to Fia. Sits behind Tom Cairns. Last corner for the Mexican. De Vries is in from P2. He'll be hoping to get out in some clean air, but don't think that is very likely. He's coming around the pit straight now. De Vries does actually get out in front of Yiafi. De Vries out in some clean air ahead of Yiafi. Try and go for a faster lap the next time he starts a flying lap. O'Ward sat behind Ryo Hirakawa, fighting for third place. That's in second. 5.5 seconds clear. 5.5 seconds behind Silic. We don't know for certain whether he's doing a one stop or a two. Well, we expect him to be doing a two stop. He's obviously still a few laps longer than De Vries has. Newgarden being passed by Ayumu Wazza for 10th place. Silic continuing on in the lead ahead of Herta, who's desperate to continue his fine form this season. Man sitting in 5th place, finishing in the top 4 in 3 of the last 4 races. Came close to victory at Donington as well. He has been on the top step of the podium this season at Patrola de los Funes. De Vries is going after Felix Rosenqvist, who is yet to stop in this race. Bamba on Malaysia for 12th position. Also watch De Vries chase after Rosenqvist 4th position. Looking to the outside but no way through. But Scarperia could be the next best location for De Vries to pass Rosenqvist here, and he does so. So making a jury is the next driver ahead. Here we look at Jamie Chadwick. Passing on circuit, and we've got a pit stop now at Ram. Silic is in at the end of lap 16, so he stayed out 4 laps longer than what O'Ward did. So he's in at the same time. O'Ward takes over leadership on merit. Hirakawa is yet to stop in this race. Might try and do the one stop. He should not get in the way of Nick De Vries, who's continuing to push as well. Max Herta getting out of the pit lane there behind the Benmotor and the Opel. That'll hurt his chances in going after Hirakawa. There we see Herta losing even more time. Scott McLaughlin in P11. Being chased by Jamie Chadwick. Ward leading the race by 8 seconds now. The gap between him and Colin Sillage is 16 seconds, but Sillage will be on better tyres. He has, however, been undercut by Yi Iffy. The only Saxby driver left in the race, sitting in 15th place ahead of Roman Grosjean. Desperate to make up for lost time. He's thinking about moving to the outside, then cuts back in. Grosjean's chances of staying in the championship lead are looking increasingly unlikely at the moment, unless he can start to make his way through the field in a similar way to how Colton Herter is doing so. Through on the Fiat for 8th place. Iwakawa is now behind De Vries. He's been allowed through. Continue Giovinazzi. Down the order in 17th place. He's got Salaquada ahead, who's been passed by Grosjean. That's the M spot passing the Sat speed now. Salaquada beginning to really struggle. He hasn't stopped yet in this race. He hasn't stopped yet in this race, is what I was meant to say. Herter has got the promoter of Ayumi Iwasa ahead of him. 5.7. We'll watch Ryo Hirakawa briefly. Coming out of Bachin. Two Toyotas in the top 3, but Hirakawa, we believe, is attempting to do the one stop. He's now got Colin Sillage side by side with him. Further front. Nearly half a minute off the lead. It's the American. And the misfortunes of others. He's had a chance of taking his second Grand Prix Series win. Jamie Chadwick won the League 2 season for Lola. She's an Iron Dames driver these days. McLaughlin has passed Fiat for 9th. Ward starts another lap. He's now on his 20th lap out of 44. We'll see McLaughlin passing Philip Salaquada. Place. And then we look at Herter side by side with Felix Rosenquist, and that is a very easy overtake really from the Spiker to go on ahead of the 40. Upgrade window will open after this round. We've got the League 1 race still to come as well. Look at Joseph Newgarden. Overtaken by Roman Grosjean, goes up into P12. I will say that I think Roman Grosjean will get back into the points. It's another thing, but he's not threatening for the win here. That is an overtake from Tommy Guinigiri on Danica Fiat. Fiat has yet to stop in this race, I believe, as well. De Vries, 14 seconds off the lead. There goes Bamber on Mini for 20th position. The only driver behind them is Sean Lacey. Also won twice as race winner this season. He also won twice in season 3 for Arrows, in Dijon Bourgogne and in Hockenheim. And it looks like Yiafi got back ahead of Connor Silic, who's not been able to dispose of Ryo Hirakawa. Silic is back up the inside. But all of this is losing Silic ground in the race for second position with Nick de Vries. And Silic, ooh, that was very nearly contact between the Toyota and the Ram. Silic goes for it again and finally is through. He's lost too much time there. Shinoda's in for his only stop of the race. He's fallen Roney in 15th position, having it out with Jamie Chadwick. Desperate to come away with some form of points finish here. She is under pressure to perform. Nick de Vries. He's tasted victory many times in this series. He's done so twice for Toyota. He's done so on a number of occasions for Minardi as well. Here's Hirakawa holding up Yiafi. Hertz is now involved in this three-way battle for 4th place on track. Hirakawa will be in the pits shortly, which will release Yuffie, who sends it up the inside. No way through there, unfortunately. Now Hertz fancies to go on the Prema, and he gets past, snatching the position away from the Prema, which will only displease Yuffie even more. He's made the move stick and he's gone on through. Silic in P3. McLaughlin fighting with Jamie Chadwick for 15th place. Look at O'Ward in the lead. Giovinazzi sends it on Newgarden for 13th place. Kafia is the next driver ahead, but there's a car off, and it's Kafia, and he's out of the race. Yeah, he's had a mechanical issue there, and that is once again neither of the Opels making it to the checkered flag. A gearbox failure again for Danny Kafia. Whilst that is going on, Hertz and Yi are now both through on Hirakawa, who's made his way into the pit lane for his one and only stop. Should come out in front of Giovinazzi in 11th position. He's not come out ahead of Giovinazzi actually, so he's going to be right in the thick of the traffic. A lot of work to do. He ain't going to win the race. So he's going to have to fight for all of what he can get, really. Second in the championship coming into this. De Vries is getting the gap down on O'Ward right now. To under 13 seconds. Silic is also catching both De Vries and O'Ward. But like I say, there's nowhere on earth I think Silic is going to win this race unless something catastrophic happens to either of the top two in his final 21 laps. Change for position involving Najiri and Rosenquist. Rosenquist still hasn't come in for a pit stop yet. Look at El Bumba. He's looking to come away with a points finish. Grosjean comes in for his final stop. El Bumba has finished in the points 5 times this season, but no higher than 4th. See Fornarelli under attack from Bumba and Chadwick. Bumba overtakes Chadwick. He's now sandwiched in between the M Sport and the Iron Dames. De Vries still continuing on to push. Silic is most certainly catching De Vries. The gap coming down to 8.5 seconds. It was something like 10 about a lap ago. There's no question that the Ram is getting the hammer down. Let's see what the gap is when they head over the line. De Vries is now 12.1 seconds off the lead. Silic is now 8 seconds, so he managed to take half a second out of De Vries' margin in the last sector alone. The second round of stops will probably start before Silic can get close to the Toyota. Grosjean down in 19th position after his last stop. Now, had it not been for that front wing damage, Grosjean would have been doing this race on the one stop, which is what Hirakawa is doing. As the Frenchman is through on Mini at the last corner. Ward is about to come to lap the exact speed of Philip Saliquada. Scott McLaughlin and Tommy Nijiri tossing it out over 7th position. There is Yumo was ahead of him. He's had a terrific race so far, actually, as it was it. There goes the Prema on the Mazda 4 position. Nijiri up into 7th place. Now O'Ward has taken the opportunity to come in for his final stop, which will see him come out around about where Herta and Yi are. So De Vries takes over the lead of the race. Bumba touches the grass but gets away with it. Silic goes ahead of O'Ward. Herta is ahead of O'Ward. O'Ward will go in front of Yiafi. So O'Ward will rejoin in 4th place. Gap down to 6.3, and he must have taken about 1.7 seconds out of De Vries' gap over the last tour. Rosenquist does finally come in for his one and only stop. He'll tumble down the order. Vivekov is also in. Joseph Newgarden coming in for the 2nd time in this race. De Vries or Silic come in at the end of this lap. Now Silic stayed out longer than De Vries, hence why De Vries was able to complete an undercut, but Silic has had the better stint despite the fact that he got held up by the likes of Herta, Yi and Co. De Vries stays out. Silic likewise. It's now 4.7 seconds. I would say within 2 or 3 laps, Silic is going to be on De Vries' tail. That's it, in 3rd position, still ahead of O'Ward, but it's inevitable that O'Ward will be ahead of her at some point in the near future. 18 laps to go. Silic. position. After his last stop, he's now on his point to move at the moment, so he's closing on the gap on Scott McLaughlin. 3.6 in sector 2 between De Vries and Silic. De Vries remains out there for another lap. Silic decides to do. He's also saying now the gap coming down to 3.3 seconds. Gabriel Mini running down in 21st and last position. Scott McLaughlin's now ahead of Iwasa, and that's because the promoter has made his way into the pit lane for his final set of tyres and fuel. Just see the top two, the gap is now down to 2.9. O'Ward has passed Herta. Hirakawa locks up at San Donato. Between De Vries and Silic, it is 2.3 seconds just. Silic is getting closer and closer. Herta continuing to lock up further back after being overtaken by O'Ward. Herta is due into the pits for one last time. Now, either De Vries or Silic coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Vries stays out. Silic has remained out there as well, so they're staying out for one more lap at least. These two. The gap is now 2.2. Silic was only able to take 1/10 out of De Vries' lead in the last sector. Ward is catching them fast as well. I think both of them will be in the pit lane before he even gets them. Only for Ward. About passing those two on circuit. Jerry is ahead of Yi Yiffy, which is interesting. You should see why that is the case. It's around about half a second in since one, although Yi Yiffy did get by Scott McLaughlin. See if you go ahead of Nigiri very, very soon. There are the top two, De Vries and Silic. It's now 1.3 seconds in sector 2. Now the final corner. And the Toyota's going to lead the Ram over the line again here. 9/10 of a second. Iwasa gets on with the job and passing Al Bamba. This has been a very, very strong race from Iwasa. Herta comes in from 4th position. Will drop behind Ryo Hirakawa, but will remain in front of Antonio Giovinazzi. Jury in for Prema. McLaughlin on Chadwick for position. Now is Chadwick running into problems as well? It looks like she is. Giovinazzi also in the box, so that should help Herta's cause. There goes Newgarden on Chadwick into the last corner. Into the pit lane. Chadwick should also be in as well. Right on De Vries' tail here. 6/10 is the margin. Not Pato O'Ward, who's sitting behind in 3rd place, who's going to go through on Silic for 2nd position on the track. And O'Ward, which we didn't expect to be needing to be passing cars on circuit, well, it's just got by his teammate there. De Vries comes into the pit lane, as does Silic. In at the same time, those two. It's going to be a battle of the pit crews to see who will go out first. De Vries is in the box before Silic. Yearfeet, who has already pitted. So that's darting his way around the Mazda of Scott McLaughlin. And it looks like De Vries is remaining in front of Silic. So if Silic is going to pass De Vries for second position, he'll have to do it on the track. But at least he's ahead of Ryo Hirakawa, who would have been a headache to him. Twice in this race, but would have been doing the one-stop had it not been for breaking his front wing earlier. He's in 6th place ahead of Iwaza. There's Rosenquist, Nijiri, Yi, McLaughlin, and Kikunishin Ota, and there we see De Vries and Silic as we look at Nijiri and Rosenquist fighting over 8th place. We're at turn number 4, otherwise known as Materazzi. Gremlins or a mistake will cost Award victory. Ram need these points to keep the pressure on Toyota and Spiker. Through goes Nijiri on Rosenquist for 8th place. Chadwick in the pit lane again. It's been that sort of day for Iron Davis, unfortunately. Garden through on Ota for 13th. Giovinazzi, not too long after he came into the pit lane, should be able to dispose Simtek. De Vries locking up in second position. 4 seconds the margin at the beginning of the lap between him and Connor. Sector 1 is now 1.1 seconds, so Sim's just gradually getting the gap down. Trying to perform an undercut on them. It's did not that before. He's running in 4th place ahead of Hirakawa, who I think will remain in 5th position between now and the end. Through goes Mini on Saliquado. The move is done for the Italian. Award out of the last corner. That has to be Ryo Hirakawa, who is slow in. He's punted off the circuit by Jamie Chadwick. Hirakawa had run into his shoes, but he's been punted off the circuit by the Iron Dames. Looked like Hirakawa hit the brakes there. I'm not sure there was a lot that Chadwick could have done. Let the stewards decide on that, but Hirakawa is out of the race, and that's significant for the championship in both the drivers and in the teams. Ryo Hirakawa retires from the Lead 2 Grand Prix of Europe on lap 32, and a new fast up the race from Connor Silic. I'm not sure Ram will be too pleased with that because they wanted Award to get it for the sake of the championship. Silic feels he can go after Award for the win, but he's got far too much time to make up. He needs to focus on getting ahead of De Vries for 2nd place. Hirakawa's retirement has promoted Grosjean up into 4th place. Iwazu is now 5th. Nijiri, Yi, Rosenquist, and Scott McLaughlin. McLaughlin hasn't scored in the last 6 races. He's sat inside the points in 10th. In front of him. Turn our attention to Yearfeet. He has his teammate in front. Iwaza is within range, certainly, to attack Grosjean in the near future. He is losing time, and the Premiers are catching him. You look at De Vries and Silic. Finishing Ota. He's overtaken by Gabriele Mini. Mini's up into 14th position. He feels he can maybe try and give himself half a chance of finishing in the points, depending on what goes on in these last 11 laps. And that's an overtake, well, an attempt of an overtake, I think it was, from Yifi or Tomic Nigiri on Iyuma Iwaza, which didn't come off. Roman Grosjean, 5th position, being chased. Scarperia, is Iwaza alongside? He is, and that's Grosjean down to P6. And then we look at Silic, who's within the slipstream of De Vries here. Around the outside goes Connor Silic, tucks back in, but he can go to the inside here of the Toyota. Silic through into second place here in Mugello. A great pass from the American, who is on course for his best results so far, and only his 3rd race in this championship. Ram are on course for a 1-2 finish. The way the positions are at the moment in this one, O'Ward will be the championship leader. We'll move on to 123 points. Grosjean is now being passed by Nigiri, of course, for 6 points. We'll drop further down the order. Herzer, by finishing 4th, will move on to 109. De Vries, by finishing in 3rd place as it stands, as Yifi passes Grosjean now. De Vries will go on to 109 points, so Grosjean will only drop down to 2nd place if the positions remain as they are. 16 seconds is the gap between O'Ward and Silic. Surely Silic is not going to have the time to catch him, is he? Not De Vries, O'Ward could potentially catch up to some back markers before this race is over. We've seen a jury through on Iwaza for 5th position. And jury on course for his best result in a long time. He's finished 7th twice and 6th earlier this season. And he has taken victory in this championship before. That was in season 4 when he was racing for the Premier team. He also won in Mugello here as well, of all places. Tell you that Silic so far has got the gap down to 13.5 seconds on O'Ward. We'll see an updated gap when they go over the line, but Silic has looked phenomenally quick. O'Ward, not as much. Drivers out of the race so far. We've lost Ria Hirakawa, we've lost Danica Fiat. Joel Eriksson also retired from the race. Dorian Pan out as well. Also gone from the race. Here's Philip Salaquada. We've also lost Nick Cassidy. This one just 6 drivers out of the race. On that 37, just 8 to go. The gap is now down to 11.7 seconds between O'Ward and Silic. I think Silic is just going to miss out on the win but he's really giving his all. I have to say, actually, he's got it down to 9.7 seconds. Is O'Ward running into problems? Because... Oh, there it is. That's the reason why his front wing's broken. Patrick O'Ward has broken his front wing by riding over the grass. And that's his hopes of the victory dashed here in Mugello. The man dominating the race is into the pit lane. And worse news for Earl Bamber is that he is out with front suspension failure. We have a new race leader in Connor Sillage. Whilst one ramp runs into problems, another has inherited the lead, and it could be a debut win for the man in your picture. Which is not this person, that's Nick de Vries. But Connor Sillage is 7 laps away from his first win in the Grand Prix World Series. In only his 3rd start as well. O'Ward rejoins in 4th position. And another driver's broken his front wing. That has to be Theo McLaughlin in the Simtech. He will be in the pit lane too. Hertz up into 3rd now. On course for a podium. And O'Ward's mistake has changed the situation in the championship as well. Now, 12 championship points would see him leapfrog ahead of Yifi, Ryuhiro and Romain Grosjean. So I think actually O'Ward will still lead the championship, but he's going to be very, very close after this. De Vries is running in 2nd place. He's on course for 18 championship points. He's going to be on 112. O'Ward is going to be on 110 because he got the pole position point earlier. As it stands, Nick de Vries will be leading the championship. And we look at Rosenqvist, who's another one of those fighting for the championship, albeit being the outside favourite. He's yet to win so far this season. He has won second twice. Nick Giovinazzi is closing in behind as well, so it's important that Rosenqvist gets on with this. Deep at the last corner. So just 1.5 seconds clear over Nick de Vries. Ward might actually go for the fast lap, actually, so I suppose that's a saving. Oh, in fact, Sillage has run into issues. He's got a problem. Sillage has allowed de Vries through, and Sillage's time at the front has come to a brief end. We've got another new race leader in Nick de Vries. Heartbreak for the American Connor Sillage. Desperate times as well for team manager Ross McGregor. Has seen both his drivers run into mechanical issues in the closing stages. De Vries leads, Hertz goes into 2nd place. O'Ward will go back into 3rd. Sillage is in with brake problems. And O'Ward now has the point for the fastest lap. He's 12 seconds off the lead with 5 laps left. He might get in front of Hertz, but I think de Vries is a tall order. It's de Vries' race to lose. Toyota are on their way to victory, it seems. Sillage has rejoined just behind Tommy Kinijiri in 5th position. And there we see the 240s of Rosenqvist and Giovinazzi having it out. Rosenqvist still hasn't been able to make his way past Romain Grosjean. A 3-car battle for 9th position. There is O'Ward just putting a lap on the Iron Dames. Jamie Chadwick there is Theo McLaughlin further back. He's just got through on Philip Salaquada. Morgan P3. Sillage has overtaken Nigiri 4th position, so 4th position looks to be pretty much assured. Sillage what could have been so much more. Sillage may be in a fast lap shootout here with his teammate. 3.5 seconds to gap between O'Ward and Herta. Garden locking up again in the Chip Ganassi. Giovinazzi has overtaken Rosenquist for position. He's the driver now in the points for 40. Billy Minnie's makes way into 13th as well. O'Ward chasing Herta down. Lacey is side by side with the Bimotor. 9/10 the gap. O'Ward is going to be within range to send it on Herta on the pit straight. Looking up slightly again. Lining up a pass here. 3 laps to go for Nick de Vries. He's almost there. O'Ward feels that the victory is still possible. There he goes on the inside. Herta passes Herta. Sorry, O'Ward passes Herta for second place on lap 42. And with 8 seconds to make up in 3 laps, I cannot see O'Ward doing it, even on the tyres that he's on. And Herta is off the circuit and has hit the barrier. And the car seems to have stalled, and it's game over. That looks like a stuck couple. The engine is switched off, and Herta's race is done and dusted. More bad news for Ben Hackerson. It's great news for Toyota. So Sillage is back up into P3. That has allowed the likes of Yeofeet, Tommy Venturi, Scott McLaughlin, Yuri Waza, Roman Grosjean, and Antonio Giovinazzi and Felix Rosenquist to move up positions in the points. There are the 2 Promos 4th and 5th. They'll be happy with the whole of points here to keep them in the running for promotion. And Giovinazzi is out in the 40. What a shame. We've lost Herta on this lap, and we've also lost Giovinazzi. And that's going to allow Joseph Newgarden to move up into the points. He's gone off the circuit and very nearly losing the point at the expense of Sharma Lacey, who's waiting to get his first point in this championship. It's Giovinazzi who retires from the race in the final few laps here. O'Ward has got the gap down to 4.4 seconds with 2 laps remaining. And Malaysia is now past Joseph Newgarden. Mini is desperate to make his way past nearly contact between the Chip Ganassi and the Bimotor. There is de Vries. You can just see O'Ward in your picture. We'll see the updated gap in sector 2. It'll be something like 2 seconds. It's 1.8. It's going to be a last lap shootout between Nick de Vries and Pato O'Ward. There is Gabriele Mini overtaking Joseph Newgarden, albeit briefly. Fauna only closing on these as well. But there we see the top 2 who are about to start their final lap. O'Ward is within range to have a go here on Nick de Vries on the freshly rubber. Not able to do it on the straight. Reminder of the setups. Toyota mid-top speed, ram neutral. You can clearly see de Vries is not as quick through the corners. O'Ward going for it. At turn 4, has O'Ward done it? No, he hasn't. Is that the last chance gone? I don't think so. He's back for more. Scarperia will be the corner where he'll have a go at. on the final lap of the League 2 Grand Prix of Europe. Can Pato O'Ward complete the comeback after needing to pit in for a third time? Here he goes on the inside. O'Ward briefly. He cannot do it. De Vries might just have held on for victory here. But O'Ward is sending it. At current time, O'Ward on the inside. He's done it. Pato O'Ward has completed the job after pitting in the closing stages. He's going to win out here in Mugello. What a brilliant pursuit to put Ram back in the fray for the championship in both the drivers and the teams. Pato O'Ward will be elated coming out of the last corner. Pato O'Ward wins the League 2 Grand Prix of Europe. Ram are ecstatic. Ross McGregor will be absolutely delighted with this. Nick De Vries heads over the line in second place. Conor Silic on the podium for the first time. So close yet so far in what could have been his maiden win. But a podium will do, and a handful of points for the Ram team. And then we've got the two premiers of Yiafi and Tom Cairns. Line Stir in 4th and 5th. Important points for Premier. Scott McLaughlin picks up some useful points for Mazda in 6th place. Iyumi was a good drive from him on his way to 7th. Romain Grosjean has had a day to forget though. Spiker only coming away with 4 championship points. A golden opportunity missed as well. Grosjean 8, Felix Rosenqvist 9. And the final point is going to be between Sean Malaysia and Joseph Newgarden. I think Sean Malaysia is going to hold on here and pick up his first ever point in the Grand Prix World Series. Joseph Newgarden holds off Theo McLaughlin for 11th place. McLaughlin 12th, and it's Gabriel Mini, Leo Fornaroli. And Kikunishin Ota will head over the line in 15th position. And we just wait for Philip Salaquada to go over the line. He's 16th. Jamie Chadwick a lap down in 17th position. It's a win for Pato O'Ward for the 3rd time this season. He's the new championship leader. Ram are rampant here in Mugello. Nick De Vries 2nd ahead of Conor Silic. There's Yiafi in 4th position. And it's Tommy Kinijiri in 5th place. 2 premiers inside the top 5. Scott McLaughlin in 6th. Iyumi Iwazu in 7th position. It's Romain Grosjean in 8th. Felix Rosenqvist in 9th. And Sean Malaysia inside the points for the first time in his Grand Prix World Series career. Joseph Newgarden 11th, followed by Theo McLaughlin. It's Gabriel Mini, Kikunishin Ota, and Leo Fornaroli, and Philip Salaquada in 16th position. Fornaroli down to 15th position with his 10-second time penalty. Jamie Chadwick, the last driver to finish or take the checkered flag. Then we lost Colton Hertzog and Antonio Giovinazzi in the final few laps, although they were classified. Albamba retired from the race though with suspension problems. Rio Hirakawa also out with the puncher. Both Opels not finishing, Danica Fiat and Joel Eriksson. Jorian Pan, Nick Cassidy and Steph Dusseldorf were the rest of the drivers to not finish that race. The pole position point going to Pato O'Ward and the fast lap going to Conor Silic. A remarkable win for Ram. They are really right on the tail of Toyota and Spiker and very much in the running for promotion and in the team's championship. O'Ward with that brilliant comeback drive has given him the championship lead. He leads O'Ward, the likes of Nick De Vries, who scored good points today. Nick De Vries going up to 112 points, with Pato O'Ward picking up 26 points. He's now on 123. So he is 11 points clear at the top of the Drivers' Championship. It's time to run down on the League 2 drivers and team standings in the voice of Topher Smith. And we'll be back for the League 1 race very, very shortly.
Well, an excellent recovery drive and a last lap pass for the victory. What a win for Pato O'Ward, denying Nick De Vries his 3rd win of the season. And O'Ward, as a result, moves into the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's have a look at the points now. O'Ward on 123 points, while Nick De Vries and Yiafi are tied on 112 points each. De Vries ahead by virtue of his 2 wins to Ye's 1. Romain Grosjean, who was a championship leader coming into this race, able to recover a few points but not enough to hold on to the championship lead. He drops to 4th on 109 points. Rio Hirakawa, a retiree today, 104 points for him in 5th, ahead of Colton Herta on 47 and Felix Rosenqvist on 96. I still get the impression that our champion could come from those top 7 at this point in the season. but the number of rounds are diminishing and opportunities are getting fewer. Also in the top 10, Gabriele Mini on 51, Daniel Kvyat on 39 and Luke Browning on 36, despite having not raced for the last few rounds. Browning still in that top 10. But now looking at the teams, Toyota has taken back the championship lead on 216 points, 10 ahead of Spiker on 206. Ram Racing on 192, moving themselves into title contention as well with their double podium today. Not out of the question that they could win this season's title. Prema 4th on 155 points ahead of 40 Corsa on 126. Bimotor KRT on 79, Syntec on 69, Opel on 59, Mazda on 47, Dames on 29, and then Chip Ganassi, M Sport and Zach Speed still in the bottom 3 positions, but M Sport picking up another point by virtue of Charles Malatey getting himself into the top 10 for the first time here today. Great results for the Frenchman. Well, we can now move on to League 1 and let's remind ourselves of the standings heading into today. Yuki Tsunoda in his rookie campaign is leading the way on 109 points, 5 ahead of Carl Kirkwood, who is very much having a win or bust season at the moment. All of his points coming from wins and fastest lap points. No points scored anywhere else for him so far this season. Kamui Kobayashi third in the Minardi on 83 points ahead of Shane van Gisbergen, our defending champion, on 76 points. Alex Palou 5th on 69 ahead of Nick Tandy on 65, Ahanshan Guven on 60, and then Jamie Whincup and Raffaele Marcello on 54 points each, and Scott Dixon, the 2-time champion, rounding out the top 10 on 52 points. Looking at the teams, it is all square between HRT and Fonmetal, 173 points each, and it's looking like those two will be the ones fighting for the team's title this season. Ducati are third on 141 ahead of Minardi on 108, Arrows are 5th on 98 ahead of Lancia on 93, Force India on 89, Cupra Kiro on 87, Prost on 71, Onyx on 64, and then quite a bit of a gap back to BAR, Jaguar and Carlin in that relegation zone. I think those 3 teams already feeling a bit consigned to League 2 for next season, but it is not over until it's over. They'll do everything that they can to get those points needed to haul themselves up into 10th place or better. Now we have just one driver change to bring you for today's race, and that comes at the BAR team where Teo Porcher has been reinstated into his race seat in place of Rafael Camara. The Frenchman looking to impress here today so we can get the seat for the rest of the season. How will he get on? Let's see how he does in the race. And with just that single driver change, let's now have a look at the qualifying results. And just like in League 2 where we had a first-time pole sitter, League 1 has also given us a first-time pole sitter in the form of Ahanshan Guven, the Lancia, taking pole position by a very similar margin to that of League 2, less than half a tenth of a second. In fact, the top 4 all separated by half a tenth of a second. Palou second in the HRT ahead of Felipe Nasr, and Alessio Rivera putting both Lancias into the top 4. A great qualifying effort from Chris Cavani's team. Carl Kirkwood, one of our championship contenders, 5th in the second HRT ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, our championship leader. Kevin Estra 7th in the Onyx ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, who does take a 10th-place grid drop for today's race. He will drop down to 18th. That puts Philip Hansen into 8th place. So both Onyxes locking out the 4th row, their best collective efforts of the season in qualifying. Scott Dixon qualifies 10th but will start 9th alongside Will Power. And then Brendan Harley in the second Arrows qualified 12th ahead of Shane van Gisbergen, and Tony Felix da Costa 14th ahead of Jamie Whincup and Sebastian Buemi. Then Raffaele Marcello, Nick Tandy, John-Eric Verne and Teo Porcher round out the top 20. Porcher qualifying 20th for his return, and he'll be looking to move forward in today's race. And at the back, Kalle Rovanperä, Robin Freins, Stoffel Van Dorn, Mitch Evans, Kevin Magnussen and Rotoma Miata qualifying last for today's race. Not at all happy with that, but the only way will be forward for the Japanese driver. Well, it was a very exciting race in League 2. Will we get more of the same in League 1? Let's hand it back to Tom Cairns and get this race underway. So Tom, back to you.
Ahanshan Guven on pole here in Mugello. Alex Palou desperate to bounce back of that disappointment in Anderstorp. The 5 lights are coming on now here in Mugello. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and Guven is away while cutting across on Palou straight from the get-go. Palou having to go to the inside. He may get a run into turn number 1 and head into the lead out of Sundonato. Through goes the HRT. Alex Palou is ahead of Ahanshan Guven, so a brilliant start for the man who is desperate for redemption. Guven in second place. It's Kyle Kirkwood who won last time out. Understop is in third place, followed by the Von Mattel, Felipe Nasr, Kevin Estra up in fifth. It's Alessia Rivera, Phil Hansen, Yuki Tsunoda, Will Power, and Scott Dixon in the top 10. We look at Kirkwood, who's looking to make it a 1-2 already for HRT. Doesn't make it through that time around, but I'm sure the HRTs will be absolutely gunning for a 5th straight win. Nobody else has achieved that before. They are the team to beat right now. Play building out such a margin already above the rest. We'll be coming up to something like 2 seconds once they go through that second timing beam, which is where that white line is across the racetrack. So Polo is, in fact, 3 seconds clear. Absolutely romping away is the Spaniard. There is Yuki Tsunoda with Phil Hansen just in front. Onyx having a better qualifying session than what we've seen from them over the course of the season so far. But both Estra and Hansen have had terrific starts, both up a couple of positions each. Onyx looking to bridge further clear from the drop. Below leads then at the end of lap 1. Guven second and Kirkwood out the 6th straight, attacking down this long pit straight. He's looking to the outside there, but the door may end up being shut as they go through that slight kink before Sundonato. But Guven holds his ground and remains in P2. Nasr alongside as well in the Von Mattel, hoping to make a move of his own. And Felipe Nasr up into 3rd place then, continuing to impress for Ewan Gale. So Kirkwood down to 4th, provided one with Phil Hansen running in 9th position. He's lost a couple of positions since we last spoke about him. Now looks like he's trying to fight with his machine. He might be doing a one-stop. Could explain why he's heavy on fuel compared to most of the others. It's worth bearing that in mind. We'll run down the setups then for each of the teams. Now for those going for the maximum downforce setup, that is Lancia. They're the only team to do so, with Guven and Rivera. No one has gone for the minimum downforce setup or the mid downforce setup. So those who go for the neutral setup, they are Onyx, Von Mattel, HRT, BAR and Carlin. Those going for the mid top speed setup, they are Ducati, Force India, Prost and Cooper Kiro. And those going for the maximum top speed setup, they are Arrows, Minardi and Jaguar. So very much a mix in this field in terms of the setups compared to in League 2. And that's Nasr on the move past Guven for 2nd place. Nasr absolutely flying in the early stages here in the League 1 Grand Prix of Europe. Now Kevin Estra, who so far in this race is having a better one compared to what we've seen from throughout the campaign. The man who won 3 times last season with the best finish of 4th over at the 6th round of the championship at Dijon-Bourgogne, his home round. Onyx really need an improvement in form. No one is having to come into the pits at the end of either laps 1 or 2, which is good news. Could we see one of these unpredictable races? Right on board here with Felipe Nasr just in front of Ayhan Guven, and that's a pass potentially from Alessia Rivera on Kevin Estra. So that is the Lancia running the maximum downforce setup through into 5th position at the expense of the Onyx. Behind Estra is the championship leader Yuki Tsunoda in his rookie season in this championship. Down the pit straight they come. Blow's lead is well over 6 seconds, and our first retirement of the race is over at Jaguar. Mitch Evans has come to a slowdown, and the team cannot find anything to look for the form that they are after to keep them in League 1 next season. Mitch Evans out of the race already before the end of lap number 3. There's a gearbox failure. Sidelined the Kiwi, who started the season over at Opel before Mike Smith got him the drive at Jaguar. But Jaguar are destined for a return to League 2 next season. They haven't scored in the last 3 rounds. They've scored points on 3 occasions. It doesn't look like improving anytime soon. Ritomo Miata, the only other Jaguar in this race, is running down in 25th and last position. saw the first round of starts begin in the League 2 race around about lap 11. Would not surprise me if Blow gets in that early. And there is the man in your picture, the race leader. He's finished in the points on 4 occasions out of 11 rounds this season, excluding the pole position and fast lap points, of course. That is Nazar. That's a pass potentially from Kyle Kirkwood on Ayuncu Guven. No way through there. And that is also bunching up the field, and that's Estra trying to go to the outside of Alessio Rivera in avoidance. It's now back into the clutches of the likes of Yuki Tsunoda, Will Power and co. Oh, and that's a broken front wing for Alessio Rivera. And that is a very costly error from the home hero. Too much there on the exit of Arrabbiata. And that is him off into the pit lane at the end of lap number 5. Estra's trying to get through there, couldn't do so, and Yuki Tsunoda just said thank you very much. It's almost like candy from a baby, or taking candy from a baby. That's the actual phrase for it. By the way, Rivera is dropping down the order like a stone, and that's holding up the field in a rather unorthodox way. Or unorthodox, I think that's the word I was after. He'll be coming into the pit lane, but he just needs to be wary when he slams on the brakes at pit entry here. It doesn't really cause too many issues. You can just see the field darting the way around him. And so Alessio Rivera is into the pit lane for an unscheduled stop to get the front ring replaced. It'll be a long event for him for sure. It takes some recovery drive to see him come back from that. There's Kirkwood up in 3rd position then at the expense of Guven. That is Phil Hansen behind Scott Dixon, who was in 10th position at the beginning of the last lap. Has climbed up into 8th position at the expense of Hansen and, of course, Rivera, who came into the pit lane. See Felipe Nasser in 2nd position, Kirkwood chasing after him. That's Power and Dixon going past Tsunoda, who looks like he's carrying an issue as well. This is significant for the championship if Tsunoda is in trouble. There's a lock-up further in front there. Don't know who that is that locked up. We'll find out shortly who that is. But Tsunoda, meanwhile, is in deep trouble. That's Guven, actually. That might be him. And Nasser's sewing. Nasser is out in the Fummetel. And that's a double blow for Ewan Gale and his team. Tsunoda and Nasser running into issues at virtually the same time. And it's game over for the Brazilian. What about Tsunoda? He's got back to the pit lane. And it'll take some almighty miracle for Fummetel to rescue anything from their home race. This opens the door for the likes of HRT to pull clear, or perhaps Ducati to really come back into it. Sebastian Buemi's come in as well with issues in the BAR, who have been beset with problems. And it's race over also for Phil Hansen in the Onyx. We haven't seen him, but he is now out with suspension issues, and that's one of Ryan Ferris's cars gone. There we see Hansen off the circuit there. I can't see where that is. That has to be over at turns 2 and 3. You can see his car being craned off the circuit. That won't cause too many issues. There we see Guven, who's now in 3rd position. The Nasser retired. Rowe locking up in turn 1. With Kirkwood now in 2nd place. You should start to see Kirkwood close in a little on below. It's not surprising he's taken quite a bit of life out of those tyres whilst getting through on the likes of Guven and Nasser. But now the order has a familiar story with Below leading and Kirkwood 2nd. Power, Dixon, Shane van Gisbergen, the reigning League 2 Drivers' Champions in P7. Brendan Hartley has got 2 Arrows drivers in the points now in 8th. Running in 9th position. Just see the field involving Teo Porcher, I believe, who's sat behind the Cooper Kiro of Kelly Rovan Power, I believe. That's Jean-Luc Verne running in 14th position for Prost. Verne sat behind Kamui Kobayashi, who came close to victory. He had a time penalty at the last race, which dropped him down to 9th position from the race win. It's not the first time we've seen that from him in the Grand Prix Series. Running out the top 10 in the points is the Prost of Antonio Felix da Costa. Prost are another one of those teams in leading points as well. And Jaguar's day is done here in Mugello. Ritoyo Miyata retires with an engine fire. That's a body blow really for Mike Smith, who I think may as well prepare for Season 7 as a League 2 team again. See Alex Blow in the lead. The gap is stagnating now compared to what it was earlier when Kirk was stuck behind Engine Guven. He's left Guven for dead now. There we see Jamie Whincup, who has Antonio Felix da Costa on his tail. It's clear that da Costa is going quicker than Whincup at this point. It's a matter of time before the Portuguese makes his move. Over the line comes below to complete lap number 9. Now getting close to the first round of pit stops. Now we look at Verne, just a bit behind Kamui Kobayashi. Closest to Costa to sending it on Whincup. Close enough that time around. Then we look at Kirkwood again in P2. The American, who hadn't won in the Grand Prix Series before the season. He finished in the points on a couple of occasions before this season. Despite the number of times he's had, he's been very much in the fray for wins, which is exemplified by what he's done in 3 of the last 4 events. Standings at the moment. If the race was to finish now, Kyle Kirkwood would be the leader on 122 points. Yuki Tsunoda, who's out of the points at the moment, he's not on course to add to his 109. Kamui Kobayashi's not on course to score either. Van Gisbergen is, albeit not very much, but Alex Palou, of course, for maximum points here, would put him on 96 and would pop into 3rd position in the standings. See Kamui Kobayashi force India on Raphael Marcello. Then we look at Palou. Quarter race distance, continue to scamper off into the distance. Kobayashi is still having it out with Marcello for 12th. Not doing enough is the Japanese. Realistic hopes of the championship alive here. Though if both Tsunoda and Kirkwood don't score here, that's going to give an almighty opportunity for Kobayashi, Van Gisbergen and Palou to really claw themselves back in. We know Palou coming away with something from this race because he got... Well, no, he didn't get pole position, my apologies. Guven got pole. So, Alex Palou will go on to 95 points as it stands because he's got the fast start point. Hyunjin Guven, who hasn't scored in 3 of the last 4 races, and he picked up 2 points in that time. It looked like he would be on some form of run to keep him in the fray, but he's left himself with maybe a little bit too much to do at this point. With 6 races to go after this one. We go to Hanoi in Vietnam for the first time. The Nations Cup in their last season in their maiden campaign. Now it's the Grand Prix Series' turn. And we see a pass from Théo Pourchaire on Jean-Luc Verne. 2 French drivers swapping places. And Kevin Magnussen comes in for Carlin. His first stop of the race. That's a pass from Sonoda on Robin Frines, who claimed his maiden Grand Prix Series win at this track last season. There's no way he's going to be repeating that here. Force India have struggled here compared to previous rounds. Not been at the races really in the last 4 rounds, it has to be said, or last 4 or 5. But they have done enough to virtually secure their place in League One next season. There's Ed Spencer. Pit stop over at Arrows. Scott Dixon is in, as is Stoff Van Dorn. Van Dorn is in a lap after Magnussen came in for Carlin. Then we look at Guven running in 3rd place. As Pourchaire still has Verne on his tail. Brendan Hartley, after a respectable performance, is going to be pulling out of the race. It's not a nice sight for team manager Marcus Johansson, who's still searching for that first win as the Arrows boss. Brendan Hartley's not going to come away with that here. He is gone from this race. And Guven's also slowing in the Lancia. A body blow for Chris Cavani. After being on pole, a rear suspension failure has sidelined the Turk. Out of the race goes Hyunjin Guven. Rivera already down the order after breaking his front wing. Pretty much spells the end of Guven's hopes for the championship in his maiden season, to be honest with you. So that's 6 drivers out of the race now. Guven's out, Hartley is out. Also lost to Toby Miata, Felipe Nasser. Lost of Phil Hansen and Mitch Evans. Lock up from Yuki Tsunoda, desperate to make up after needing to pit in. He's in 11th place. I don't know whether he's actually due in again in the near future. He will do at least one more pit stop in this race. There's no way he'll have put any fuel in as at the time at which he did come in to make that unscheduled stop. Into the pit lane comes Kyle Kirkwood from 2nd position. Vitally important, he comes out into some clean air. Stans is probably going to come out and run about where Yuki Tsunoda is, which isn't ideal, so he'll have to hope for more drivers to come in to the pit lane at the same time. Estra is in, Power is in, Van Gisbergen is in. Foster is in, Whincup is in. It's a very busy pit lane down there at the end of lap 14. Fines is in for Force India. And it looks like Kirk was rejoined only behind Nick Tandy. So that's the only driver he has to dispose of when he comes out of the pit lanes. Behind him now in sector 1. And sooner rather than later they'll be heading through sector 2, and I think that's where Kirkwood actually might already be ahead of Tandy by this point because he's on better tyres. There he is, look. There goes Kirkwood on Tandy, and no fooling around from Kyle. Let's blow in from the lead. And he will remain there for absolutely sure. His power being overtaken by Estra, who's only just pitted. Now Dixon's done an undercut on him. As we look, that is Kelly Brother Power holding up Estra and Power. That was almost contact between the Cooper Kiro and the Minardi. Nick Tandy comes in from 3rd position. Estra is going to send it on the inside of Power. Through goes the Onyx. Want to get by the Cooper Kiro Caliber Barrow sooner rather than later. Not if he can. If he goes wide like that. That's from Gisbergen past Boemi. Made that earlier stop. And that's Kobayashi retiring with an engine blow up in the Minardi. Man, 3rd place in the standings. He's most likely to tumble down the order. Now we look again, that's Van Gisbergen going past Power. Estra is already ahead of Robert Power by this point. It's good news for Yuki Tsunoda with Kobayashi out of the race. With the way this race is going, it's Kirkwood who'll be leading One Drivers' Championship. Tsunoda comes in for his first scheduled stop. Paul Scherer is in as well in the BAR. Oh, it's Boemi, sorry, my apologies. You can just see how on the tail of the Cooper Kiro in front. So that's 7 retirements from the race now. Kobayashi out of the race. Most experienced driver in the field. Now victory for either Fomitel or Minardi would reach a record of 15 Grand Prix 15 wins in the Grand Prix Series by one team. Team in form right now, just 2 wins off both from Mattel and Minardi. And we see Stoffel Van Dorn, who has made the most of the undercut. He's up into 10th position in the car limb. Albeit temporarily because Da Costa is on the inside. Polo with the new fast up of the race, all won at 29.5. It's likely he'll keep hold of that between now and the end of this. But it's if Da Costa is on the move past Jamie Whincup. Not Whincup, sorry, Stoffel Van Dorn up into 10th position. Whincup gets through on Robin Power for 8th. To the race leader who is continuing to pull away. Costa still hasn't found a way through yet on Robin Power at this point in time. in P10. Approaching Rovanperä. He desperate to head on through here. Costa does go through on Rovanperä. Leads in lap 18 in the lead. There goes Van Dorn on Rovanperä, who has yet to stop in this race. Now, by this point, you would think that he's done his first stop if he's doing the 2, so it feels like he's going to be on course to do the 1-stop strategy. He's down to 12th position now on circuit. Scott Dixon in P3. He was one of the earlier stoppers, but he's done well to get up into the podium position. The 2-time Grand Prix Series champion. He's not having the best seasons. Not having the best of seasons right now. He's on a run of 4 races without scoring. It's a HRT 1 and 2. Tsunoda, who has pitted twice in this race already. He's in 15th position. There's a pass from Tandy on Kevin Magnussen. Yuki Tsunoda, meanwhile, is trying to follow suit, but they would have left him on the grass there and tumbling back down. But Tandy is the man heading through on Rovanperä now over at Scarperia. Round. And Estra is off. Estra has spun in the Onyx. He's had a problem. It's a mechanical issue that has sidelined the second Onyx after a promising qualifying session and start to the race. Both of Ryan Ferris's cars are out. What a terrible shame. It's great news for those in the bottom 3, the likes of BAR, Jaguar and Carlin. But for Ryan Ferris, the reigning team's champions are going no further in this. Promotes Will Power up into 4th place, Shane van Gisbergen up into 5th. Alessio Rivera, after breaking his front wing earlier, he's made his way back up into P6. Jamie Winkup's now 7th. That's Nicolas da Costa, this is Stoffel Van Dorn, and Teo Pocher inside the points. Rovanperä holding up. Raffaele Marciello, Tsunoda's gone through on Magnussen further ahead. Rovanperä is continuing to tumble down the order at this rate. There are just 18 drivers left in this now. Marcello passes Rovanperä up into 14th. It's Robin Friends and Sean McVern sitting behind the Cooper Hero, the one stopping Cooper Hero. Of the race, approaching half race distance. Just a reminder that the upgrade window opens after this round. The team managers will have the chance to upgrade their cars. I'll come back to that in a moment. Nick Tandy's the latest to retire, and that's one of the Ducatis out of the race as well. Rear suspension failure has forced the Brit to retire. Rovanperä does finally pit in for Cooper Hero. Drivers out of the race before half race distance. Tandy came into this one 6th in the driver's standings with a podium finish to his name. A couple of rounds ago at Hockenheim. Just remember that he was behind Shane van Gisbergen when SV MVG had stopped on the last lap at Hockenheim as well. It was a very costly one for both him and for Ducati, and it's costly again here for them in their pursuit of the team's championship. Tsunoda outside the points in P11. He's not on course to score points. Kyle Kirkwood most certainly is on course to do so. 18 championship points would put him in the lead of the driver's standings. He would be 13 points clear. Kobayashi not scoring. Van Gisbergen, who sat in 5th place, he would go up into... He would remain actually in 4th place because Alex Palou is in the lead. Fast lap to go with it, would be ahead. And Da Costa is the next to go in the Pros. That's a terrible shame for him. Make that 10. We're now down to 16 runners. We've certainly had more retirements in this one compared to the Lead 2 race. Kirkwood 17 seconds off the lead. The HRTs are in a league of their own, predictably. Being fast is one thing, reliability is another. Going back to what I was saying about the upgrade window. The team managers will have a chance to upgrade their cars. Increase the amount of brake horsepower, increase the amount of reliability, and also downforce. Power down a lap now, in 16th and last position, but at least he's still in the race. And Alessio Rivera is now in for his one and only scheduled pit stop. He'll drop into 15th place. Alex Palou, who retired from the lead in Anderstorp last time out. That's Yuki Tsunoda passing Stoffel van Dorn for P7. This will not be enough to keep Tsunoda in the championship lead. If Kirkwood was to finish in 2nd place, then Tsunoda would need to finish in 4th. Unless he was to get the fastest up of the race, 5th might do it, but Kirkwood has more wins than Tsunoda. Tsunoda, one of the quicker cars in the field. He's chasing Whincup, who's another 4 seconds clear. There we see Kyle Kirkwood. There's Vern. Right on board where he's got Buemi. Sat behind. Runaway man in the IndyCar series at the moment. At the time of recording, 542 points in the standings in that, with 4 races still to do. It's just a matter of when he'll seal the championship rather than if. And Rivera got in 2D. That's over at the Corintau corner. going back to what I was saying about Alex Blow, is on course for a 5th IndyCar Series title. 2 behind Scott Dixon. The Grand Prix Series is also something he wants to achieve. For his first championship. Did pit in later than Kirkwood slightly. Snowder on the move again, past Whincup for P6. He will be pitting in again before this race is over, but it's a brilliant recovery after a dreadful beginning to the race. In P11, he's ahead of Sean Vern after overtaking him, locking up at the Biondetti chicane. Van Dorn's been passed by Porsche and Marcello. It's because he's come into the pit lane for his final stop. Low. Going up to Lat Van Donnen as the Belgian comes out. Surely only Mechanical Gremlins will stop Low from taking victory here. But meanwhile, so pops up for him. Doesn't need to worry about Low in terms of fights moving from the centres. He's that far back. In the team standings as it stands, HRT will be collecting 44 championship points. They'll go on to 217. From Mattel, who have only got Sonoda in the running, is running in 6th position. 8 points would give them, we'll put them on 181. Chikasi with Van Gisbergen up in 5th place. They'll go from 141 to 151. Right now, and the bottom 3, Carlin, I've got 2 cars still running in this one. There is a chance they'll come away with something in this one, but it's not going to lift them anywhere near out of the bottom 3. Jaguar have got both cars out of the race, they're not scoring today. BAR have got Porsche up in 8th place and Boemi in 10th. So there is hope they'll come away with something here, but they've got a lot of catching up to do. Onyx have both cars out of the race as well. Hansen and Estra. Rivera doesn't quite make it work with Frines. Might go for it again though. Casanova doing so there. Van Dorn, not too far behind him on the track actually, so Plo may need to think about when he decides to put in here, just so that he doesn't have to deal with Van Dorn, who will be on fresher rubber. Dixon in from 3rd position. He's doing what he can to keep up with his teammate. Last corner, does Polo head for the pit lane? The answer to that question is yes, he does. Van Dorn had to slam on the brakes for a brief moment. And we look at Dixon, who's just made his pit stop. He's now behind Jean-Luc Verne. And that's contact between the 2 BARs of Porsche and Boemi. That's the last thing they would have wanted on what's been a toxic season for Matteo Vitelloni's team. That could have been very, very disastrous. Buemi does get through on Porsche at last. No further action will be taken. Kirkwood takes over the lead from his teammate for now. He will be in the pit lane in the near future, that's for certain. There goes Vern on Porsche, to 9th place. There's Robin Perrott, who is on the 1 stop. He's just trying to keep up. Will Perrott is in for his final stop from 3rd place. Allows Van Gisbergen to go up. Yuki Tsunoda is also in for Fomitau. I think Lowe allowed the Carlin to go on through. He did. There goes Dixon. Back ahead of Power. And the battle for the final podium position really is up for grabs. Pillow's just overtaken Kirkwood for the lead on circuit. There we see Dixon behind Vern. Buemi came into the pit lane for fuel and tyres. And there goes Dixon on Vern on the road. And Dixon find the form he once had in his Grand Prix Series career. Kyle Kirkwood in from 2nd place, and he'll keep hold of 2nd place. He's that far ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen to even think that he's going to end up being passed at this point. It's Rivera through on Porsche on track. And that's Kevin Magnussen in front of below. Kirkwood comes out of the pit lane in 2nd place. Power on Porsche to send him further down the order here. And at the same time, Rivera overtakes Vern. Friends is in for his final set of tyres and fuel. Under attack from Yuki Tsunoda, he'll be desperate to get on through. Not get held up here. He's on the inside, and he does send Porsche down to 10th. His driver back in the points once more. Kirkwood will still be leading the championship as it stands after this race. Half a minute clear is Polo. Van Gisbergen is the latest to come in for Ducati. Once Whincup does come in for his final set of tyres of fuel, Dixon will be released and up into 3rd position. Rivera up into 4th now. It's Power, Tsunoda. Vern comes into the pit lane, so Porsche. Well, Porsche is also in for his final set of tyres of fuel. So Van Gisbergen will rejoin in P7, which will allow Marcello up into 8th place. With Robin Perrott. Oh, that's Whincup coming out of the pit lane. And Buemi takes advantage of Robin Perrott having to slam on the brakes and head on through. There we see Flo continuing on his way. So that's everyone up to Robin Perrott in P11. See power behind Rivera. I think Rivera is due into the pit lane for one last time, unless he's on the one stop. There goes power on Rivera. So power is through into 4th position. Power. Came into this one 19th in the standings. He's failed to finish in the last 4 races. To end that here and keep Minardi on track. Look at below. After Power 4th position. Well, not 4th position, this is to lap. Apologies for that. Gisbergen, after having done his last stop, should have some form of tyre advantage in the closing laps here. Takes Fines for 12th position. At Sonoda, has Rivera ahead. It'll be an almighty task for Rivera to finish at the points. Thinking of it, because I think he's gonna, if he's on the scheduled one stop, he's gonna really struggle to keep at the likes of Van Gisbergen and that. And Porsche in 14th and 15th. That is Fines. There's Vern. Having to lift off. Fines takes both him and Rovanperä. And Porsche, the only car behind them is Stoffel van Dorn. Still cannot find a way past Rovanperä. And it looks like he's slowing actually, he's Vern. Because he's lost another place to Kevin Magnussen. He's still going for now, but Vern is having a difficult time of it. Trying to get past Rovanperä, couldn't do so. And he's lost another place to Fries and now Kevin Magnussen. Coming back though on Magnussen, the 13th, and these are the last positions. I feel just 16 cars left in this. 10 have already retired. The last one being Antonio Fitz-da-Costa, who lost around about 12 laps ago. Vern does finally get through on Rovanperä, although that took him longer than he would have liked. These are all a lap down on the leader. That's the BAR of Porsche sending it on Kevin Magnussen. It's up to 13th. Goes almost going to lap Sebastian Buemi. He's gets his car out of trouble throughout this one. Although he did have to come in earlier than planned in the race, the end of lap 3, with some form of mechanical issue. He stayed in the race. HLT were on course. Right, brilliant 1-2 finish. First time done that this season. Trying to remember the last time that HRT had finished 1 and 2. This is where my extensive research has to come in. I don't think they actually finished 1 and 2 before in the Grand Prix series. They started their time in the Grand Prix series in Season 2. The championship expanded into 2 divisions. They picked up 4 wins in Season 2, but they never achieved a 1-2 finish. That is about to change in around about 9 laps time, unless we get any more twists. Just like this! Alex Palou has retired from the race! Alex Palou retires from the League One Grand Prix of Europe on lap 36! It's deja vu all over again! Which hands the lead to his teammate Kyle Kirkwood. An unbelievable twist! That is Palou's realistic hopes of the championship surely gone now. If Kirkwood comes away with the win, Palou will be 59 points off the lead. That is a huge gap to make up with 6 rounds to go this season. Scott Dixon goes up into 2nd place. Will Power is now 3rd for Minardi. And Yuki Tsunoda is up in 4th position, but he's still on course to lose the championship lead. Even if he was to finish 2nd, Kirkwood will still be at the top of the pile. Surely we can't see the same happening to Kyle Kirkwood here. We'll see Sebastian Buemi in 9th position. Of course, for 2 championship points for BAR, which they so desperately need to keep their 6-year stay in League One going. So far is Kelly Rovanpera. At least he's now up into 15th position. And we see Power and Tsunoda nose to tail for 3rd place. Scott Dixon is just in front there in P2. So he finished 2nd twice this season, has the Kiwi. Ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, so he'll be in 3rd position as it stands. Scott Dixon's 2nd place finish would move him on to 70 points. He'll leap up ahead of Marcello, Winkup, Guven and Tandy, and it's retirement for Théo Pourchaire from 12th position. Another non-finish for the team there. He won't have done enough laps to be classified either, so that is Pourchaire's race over and done with. A puncher for the Frenchman. There's Power. Right behind him is Tsunoda, who waiting to pounce behind. Looking at the setups between the Minardi and the Fomitel. Fomitel are running the neutral setup, Minardi are running the maximum top speed setup. So despite maybe being on fresher tyres, Tsunoda just can't get close enough. But Power most certainly is within range to attack Dixon on the straight. Because the Arrows is running the maximum top speed setup. I mean, to be fair, it's a straight duel between Dixon and Power for second place. Tsunoda won't get close enough. So Power is going to attack. He's not close enough to send it into turn 1. In 13th behind his teammate Van Don. That's actually the race leader in front of him. That's Kyle Kirkwood. This will be his 5th win of the season. He's 4th in the last 5. And HRT will increase their winning streak to 5 wins. Something that no other team has done before in the Grand Prix Series. Power's still not close enough to have a go on Dixon. Behind in 4th, next Van Gisbergen. Rivera's dropped back from that. It's likely he'll finish in the points, but I don't know whereabouts he'll be. It's Marcello. There's Rivera closing in on him. Gap coming down to less than 4 seconds, but Marcello's got Jamie Whincup right behind. Sebastian Buemi isn't too far off those either. So they're pulling out the slipstream, but Power, the maximum top speed sets up. He's sending it, although Tsunoda thought about going for it at turn 1. Decided better off and wait back for another opportunity. With only 5 laps left for these. There's Whincup, Marcello. Oh, that's an engine problem for Power. The engine is expired on the Minardi. Unbelievable luck for Will Power. 5 laps from the end, and he isn't going to score. For the 5th race in a row, it's no points for the Australian. Tsunoda, after wrecking his front wing in the other stages, and Kirkwood's off as well! Game over for HRT! It's a loose left rear on the American's car, and HRT's winning streak is over! Kyle Kirkwood on lap 41 retires from the Grand Prix of Europe in the League 1 race, and your new race leader is Scott Dixon. Yuki Tsunoda will stay in the championship lead, whatever happens here, but he's sending it on Dixon at turn number 4, but cannot find a way through. You can see Van Gisbergen closing them on the now as well. It's a straight 3-way battle for the race win here in Mugello. Now is Tsunoda close enough? He's sending it now, and he's through! Yuki Tsunoda is ahead of Dixon and leads the League 1 Grand Prix of Europe with 4 laps remaining. One unbelievable race. Alessio Rivera is up to 4th. Rafael Marcello is now 5th, followed by Jamie Whincup, Sebastian Buemi, Robin Frines, John O'Fern is 9th. And Stoff Van Don on course for a championship point for Carlin. Tsunoda has the chance to extend the margin in the championship. The gap will be 30 points between him and Kyle Kirkwood in second place. Shane van Gisbergen, as it stands, will move up into third position at the expense of Kamui Kobayashi. And Scott Dixon will finish second as it stands. Will leap up the order into sixth place. But Tsunoda is the biggest gainer of it all here. It's Jamie Whincup trying to pass Brefley Marcello, but couldn't do it. So HRT will only be coming away with the fast lap point. They'll lose the championship lead to Fomital. Ducati got Van Gisbergen in third place. They'll close in on HRT. Minardi are not going to be scoring arrows. I'm about to leapfrog them with Dixon in second place here. Force India have got Marcello in fifth place and Friends in eighth. That would be 14 championship points for them. It wouldn't be enough for them to leapfrog Minardi. They would need a little bit more. 2 laps remaining then. Van Gisbergen is right behind Dixon in the battle for second place in the League One Grand Prix of Europe. It's not close enough to challenge at the moment is SVG. Might send it at Casanova, which he doesn't do so. Now head towards Arrabbiata. SVG ready to pounce here. Is he looking to head on through at the next corner, which is Scarperia? Still not close enough there. The top speed on the arrows is what's keeping Dixon ahead of the Ducati. But Yuki Tsunoda is about to start the final lap of the race despite pitting 3 times. He's got himself to the front. Start the race in P6. He's found himself in the lead with 1 lap to go. But the fight for second place is still not finished here. Can Van Gisbergen send it on Dixon at San Donato? Here he goes. There's Shane Van Gisbergen on the inside. Has to duck back in. The straight line speed is just too superior on the arrows here. In fact, Tsunoda's off! Tsunoda's off the racetrack! And the front wing's broken! Yuki Tsunoda has spun off the racetrack! And on the final lap of the race, we have a new race leader! Another development has occurred at the front of the pack! And Rafael Marcello is coming with problems for Force India. But we'll stay with this battle because now it's a straight fight for about 4 kilometres involving Scott Dixon and Shane Van Gisbergen. 2 Kiwis going head to head. Now, is SVG close enough this time? This is the last genuine overtaking spot for him, I think. Dixon holds on for now, but he's got this and then the last corner of Bachin to really hold Shane Van Gisbergen off here. Tsunoda doing his utmost to stay on the podium. SVG not able to do it here at Bachin. So I think Scott Dixon has done enough. The maximum top speed setup has paid off here for Marcus Johansson. He's going to celebrate a race win for the first time as a team manager of Arrows. Scott Dixon wins the League One Grand Prix of Europe by less than 1/10 of a second over Shane Van Gisbergen, who is in second place. The last man on the podium is going to be Alessio Rivera for Lancia. Tsunoda misses out on the podium in 4th place. He remains in the championship lead, but that was a missed opportunity. Jamie Whincup 5th, Sebastian Buemi picks up big points for BAR in 6th place. Robin Friends 7th ahead of Jean-Luc Verne. And it's Topher Van Dorn who picks up a couple of points for Carlin in 9th. And Rafael Marcello, after pitting in with 1 lap to go, has to settle for 10th. Kevin Magnussen, despite a brilliant effort today, still no points here for him. He is 11th, and the last driver to finish will be the Cupra Kiro of Calais Rovanpera. It's a win for Scott Dixon. A record-breaking 10th Grand Prix World Series win is in the bag, and the first as an Arrows driver. Shane van Gisbergen 2nd, and it's Alessio Rivera making it to the podium again for Lancia in 3rd place. Yuki Tsunoda 4th, Jamie Whincup 5th ahead of Sebastian Buemi, Robin Friends, Jean-Luc Verne, Stoffel Van Dorn and Raffaele Marciello round out the top 10 point scorers. Kevin Magnussen in 11th place and Rovanpera in 12th, the last driver to take the checker flag. Kyle Kirkwood retiring from the lead, a big opportunity missed. Will Power also out towards the end after being in 3rd place. Then we've got those that did not finish. Teo Bourchier, Alex Palou out from the lead. Antonio Vizdacosta, Nick Tandy, Kevin Estra, Kamiri Kobayashi, Ayhan Guven, Brendan Hartley, Ritomo Miata, Phil Hansen, Felipe Nasser and Mitch Evans. Those were the drivers that did not finish. It's been another race of attrition. Ayhan Guven taking the point for pole position and the fast lap heading in the way of Alex Palou. Little consolation for HRT. But what a race we've been treated to. Scott Dixon holding off SVG to the end. One of the races of the season so far. It feels like Sebring all over again. But it's Tsunoda who threw it away on the final lap of the race, spinning into the gravel trap at San Donato. Scott Dixon inherited it. He held off Shane van Gisbergen to the end to take his and Arrows' first win of the season. It's time to run down on the League 1 drivers and team standings in the voice of Topher Smith, and I'll see you for the next round of the championship at Hanoi in Vietnam in a couple of weeks' time. Topher, over to you.
Wow, absolute drama all the way to the end of that race. Scott Dixon takes his first win of the season by less than a tenth of a second to Shane van Gisbergen. A drag race to the line, but the win really should have gone the way of Yuki Tsunoda, the Japanese, spinning out of the lead on the last lap. He will be ruining himself for that mistake. This has affected the drivers and team standings, of course. Let's have a look at them now as Yuki Tsunoda, despite losing the win today, still holds on to the lead of the standings and does take more of an advantage over Carl Kirkwood, who retired out of the lead earlier on. Tsunoda on 121 points, Kirkwood on 104, and Shane van Gisbergen with his 2nd place has moved up to 3rd on 94 points, within touching distance of the championship lead now. Kamui Kobayashi 4th in the Minardi on 83, having retired from today's race. Scott Dixon, his victory puts him up to 5th on 77, ahead of Alex Palou on 70. Nick Tandy 7th on 65 points, ahead of Jamie Whincup on 64. And then Ayhan Guven stays pole sitter, 9th on 61, and Raffaele Marciello 10th on 55. As for the teams, they were deadlocked heading into today's race, but Fomitel has now moved ahead of HRT, 185 points plays 174, while Ducati has closed in that gap to 159 points, not too far away from the championship lead now. Arrows are 4th on 123, moving up the order after their victory today. Lancia 5th on 109, ahead of Minardi on 108, Cupra Kiro on 97, Force India on 96, Prost on 75 and Onyx on 64. And then BAR getting some points today to put themselves onto 23, but still languishing in 11th in the standings, ahead of Jaguar and Carlin. It's looking less and less likely that those teams can move out of the relegation zone. But never say never in the Grand Prix World Series, we still have 6 rounds left to go. Well, it has been an epic day here in Mugello, 2 fantastic races in both League 2 and in League 1, and we're looking forward to more of the same over the course of the rest of the season. The next round will be from Hanoi in Vietnam, a first time visit to that circuit for the Grand Prix World Series, and we can't wait to see what it is going to bring. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in. It is always a pleasure to have your company. I'm Topher Smith. Take care.